What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy Chef, and you already know what time it is. We are back. It's episode number 71 of the YAK pod. Today, we are going to be talking about wide receivers. You already know because you've seen the thumbnail. You know what's going on right now. Now, the question has become, do the Lions need another wide receiver? Before we get into that, let's talk about why people are asking, do the Lions need another wide receiver? Well, the reason is this. What's going on? Justin Fan says he doesn't want any sports talk. He just wants to know about the Kendrick Lamar and the Drake beef. Believe it or not, I really haven't gotten myself involved in that situation. I'm not a big music guy, so I am not the right person to talk to about that. I can't help you. We're going to talk about sports today. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Thank you, Justin Fan. I did just share the stream. I appreciate you reminding me. So we're going to be talking about the receivers. Do the Lions need to add receivers? That is the question. And to talk about why people are saying that the Lions need to add wide receivers, it's because we lost Josh Reynolds. Now, you guys know that Josh Reynolds was Jared Goff's quote-unquote security blanket, right? Because he had the rapport with Josh Reynolds from being in LA. And we all know relationships and timing for things to go right, which is why things didn't initially go swimmingly with J-Mo, right? So now, Justin Fan is killing me in this chat. I only know saran wrap. So now I would submit to you to say that Laporta. His name is Sam Laporta. He already emerged as the security blanket for Jared Goff last season. Now, whether you like Josh Reynolds or not, what is going on? John F. and Lord in the YAK Pod Sports chat. Or not, whether you appreciate what he did for the team. We're going to get to DPJ. We're going to get right to DPJ, right? So whether you like Josh Reynolds or not, whether you like what he did for the team or not, whether you believe that he is the reason that the Lions lost the NFC Championship game or not, which say that's my man, the electrician. But Jahmyr Gibbs fumbling was a reason. The defense not being able to tackle was a reason. The defense not being able to keep Brock Purdy in the pocket and get to him before he could scramble 20 yards down the field, that's a reason. Let's just be honest. DPJ has more, and we're talking about statistics here. His height of statistics is more than Josh Reynolds' height of statistics. Now, I think people have forgotten a few things about DPJ. Number one, DPJ was traded for at the trade deadline. Remember, I said Jared Goff is a big rapport guy. He's a big connection. Well, we don't have time to get rapport, connection, and relationship going on properly when you get traded for in the middle of the season. So DPJ didn't really see a very large or an X post, or maybe it was Instagram. I don't remember which one. It's probably both, right? With him as a child in a Lions jersey. And he said, Detroit, what up? So this is an opportunity that he has been relishing. He's been waiting for this opportunity to come home. He's a University of Michigan guy. I believe he was, I want to say he was Huron. Did he go to Huron Pioneer? I know he didn't go, or did he go to Cass Tech? I feel like he went to Huron or Pioneer. Does anybody know in the chat? I can look it up, of course. Let's see. DPJ High School. He went to Cass Tech. Okay, he went to Cass Tech and he went to Southfield Christian. So he's a Cass Tech. You're at home playing for your fans at home. That's like every athlete's dream, especially when your team is good, right? So the thing that you want, I used to think when I was a kid, right? I was like, I'm going to go to the NFL. I'm going to play for the Lions. I'm going to be like Barry Sanders into the draft, right? If we're looking at where the Lions are picking and I'm not going to get picked around at that time, I'm not even entering the draft. I'm just going to skip the whole thing. And then when the Lions are signing UDFAs, I'm going to come in and be like, hey, go ahead, give me a shot. And I'm going to sign a contract. Wouldn't care about the money. That was just my thing as a kid. Now, obviously, Jones, who shares a name with me. My first name is actually Donovan. So he shares a name with me. So he's obviously one of my favorite players. And he went to the University of Michigan, and he had the unfortunate Ohio. And as I like to call it, oh, hell no. So he's got the chance to come back home to Detroit and ball out. We already know he's an excellent wide receiver. Now, I have put together a little bit of a highlight reel for Donovan. While you're watching this, is the amount of quarterbacks that he has played with. It's only about a minute and a half. The amount of quarterbacks that were throwing him the football, his toughness, his body control, and his versatility. These are the things that I took from these highlights and put them together just to show those things. Didn't even know played for the Browns, who helped us win the division last season. Spoiler alert, right? So let's go ahead and look at this, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about Donovan Peoples-Jones and what I think he will be doing in this offense.
Stepping up, play fake to Chubb.
Landry down the seam. Mayfield towards the end zone. It is caught. What?
Play fake to Chubb. Watson stepping up, throwing, and got his man, and that's Donovan Peoples-Jones once again.
Donovan Peoples-Jones is in for a touchdown.
Donovan Peoples-Jones is back deep. What a kick. Forcing Peoples-Jones back to the 13-yard line. 61-yard punt, and now a big return. Peoples-Jones.
Big third down catch of the drive.
Back Philly 17, Indy 16, back to the game.
And a deep pass out.
He missed two of these earlier, right? These quick little stick routes and quick little out routes.
Caught. Right back to Peoples-Jones. Throwing it on 3rd and 1. Looking deep for Peoples-Jones. Into the sun. He makes the catch. Down at the 1. This is such a good throw by Jacoby Brissett. It's got a lot of height underneath it. Mayfield with good protection throws, and there's Donovan Peoples-Jones. That's a connection that's
all right. So that's what we have about Donovan Peoples-Jones. As you can see, he played with Nick Mullins. Can you guys understand that he played with Nick Mullins? I mean, he played with Baker Mayfield, Nick Mullins, Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson. That's 4 quarterbacks. I believe he was in Cleveland for 3 years. So there was a revolving door of quarterbacks, almost eclipsed 1,000 yards. DPJ is an absolute dog. And anybody thinking that he's not an adequate replacement, not even an adequate replacement, he may even be an upgrade over Josh Reynolds. Control, his route running, physicality, versatility, all of those things are probably, I don't want to say eons better than Josh Reynolds, but they are they're an upgrade over Josh Reynolds. That's why he traded for him. He didn't just waste picks at the deadline. He wasn't trading for DPJ just for poops and giggles. He traded for DPJ because he knew that DPJ, afterthought, like we said, he got traded for in the middle of the season, and he wasn't able to get integrated into this offense. Justin Fan says that the pod is freezing and pausing. Let me know in the chat. If there's an issue with the connection, we'll try to see what we can do. Right now, it's telling me that there's an excellent connection. So hopefully it continues being excellent. So DPJ is going to be, I don't want to say a large part of this offense, but I think he's going to be an important piece. Should we bring in a Tyler Boyd? Should we bring in a Zay Jones or any of the other receivers that are on the market? I really don't think so, because of the things that I talked about earlier. I talked about the connection, the relationship building. I talked about the rapport that you have to have with Jared Goff to be really involved in this offense. So if you don't have that rapport, you don't have that connection, you don't have that relationship with Jared Goff, bringing them in now doesn't really give you the opportunity to gel with Jared Goff. I haven't been there for OTAs, and we haven't had them really yet. We're in the workout phase, but you haven't been there for OTAs. If they're not bringing somebody in soon, I don't want to say it's going to be a repeat performance of DPJ being brought in last season. Have those things with Jared Goff already. I think it's a little bit too late in the game to bring in somebody else. Now, another thing that we have to understand is not only is DPJ probably going to emerge in this offense and probably going to have a larger role than J-Mo. At the front of the thumbnail, J-Mo. J-Mo is going to ascend, hopefully. That's what the expectation of J-Mo is, right? The season hasn't started yet. I wish it started. Now, we have to remember that Dan Campbell said he's not ever going to be like an elite hands catcher. And he started to prove Dan Campbell a little bit wrong down the stretch there. In the NFC Championship game, he had a couple nice grabs. Hands only. We saw him. My affinity for Ambry Thomas. I love Ambry Thomas being on J-Mo. I love it because it's barbecue chicken alert. But he snatched that ball away from Ambry Thomas, and then he had that nice little pass that he plucked out of the air in the back of the end zone. That we're looking at, Dan Campbell fully expects for him to be the number 2 wide receiver on this team. Now, if you're the number 2 wide receiver on this team next to Amon-Ra St. Brown, but then you have also Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is going to go ahead and get his touches, right? He's going to, and then you got J-Mo. J-Mo is an absolute weapon. J-Mo is not just a receiver. He is an offensive weapon. Remember Denard Robinson? You guys remember Denard Robinson when the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted him, and they OW, which was offensive weapon. J-Mo is going to take you short. He's going to take you medium. He's going to take you deep. He's going to run jet sweeps like reverses. J-Mo can be effective in all effective, taking the top off of a defense, going deep. And like I said, he is averaging some crazy like 40 yards per carry. Okay? Like, that's insane. How many jet sweeps did he get? He got the one in the Raiders game, which was poorly blocked, and this was in pension. And last year he was injured. Well, I should say the rookie season he was injured, came in at the end of the season, had like 2 touches and two touchdowns or something crazy like that, or he had a touchdown call back. I mean, he's just like he's a magnet for scoring the football. He's a big play magnet, right? So And, then he had the suspension, and the suspension actually ended up being longer than it was supposed to be, because after 4 games, the NFL decided that it should have only been 2 games when it was originally 6 games. I don't know what happened. Okay, I don't know what happened, but all I know is that the NFL owes him 2 games. Now, how are you going to get those 2 games back? I don't know. Maybe some compensation. It's back. He's got a case of the drops, and he's not doing great. And then in the middle of his season, right, the midpoint of his season, because his season started 5 games later than everyone else. In the midpoint of his season, he started to blossom. So we saw that Raiders game where I don't know who missed the block, but I know there's no way in hell that they purposely left Max Crosby unblocked. Okay? And Max Crosby smacked him coming off the edge. Okay, fine. They tried it again in the New Orleans game. What happened? Touchdown. Thought he was the electrician out there instead of Jahmyr Gibbs. So you got a guy like that. I'm predicting, and I'm hoping, and I'm praying that he stays healthy the entire season. And if he stays healthy the entire season, he's receiving at least 800 yards receiving. Remember, Amon-Ra St. Brown had, was it 2 games this past season, where he seems to get a bunch of targets. But Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't have the speed and the quickness that Jameson Williams has. Jameson Williams, if you hit him on a slant, he could take it the distance. On the corner, that could be it. You could be on the 10-yard line and hit him with a slant, and he takes it 90 yards. So he doesn't need the amount of touches that Amon-Ra St. Brown needs. If he gets 5-6 touches, you jet sweep him every game. Because if you jet sweep him every game, I think teams are going to start to game plan for it. Teams are going to start to recognize and call it out to see it in the formation. But what we haven't seen Jameson Williams really do is get involved in the screen. I really hate wide receiver screens unless they work. And I haven't seen them work too well for the Detroit Lions. I feel like they're just a wasted play. Like, it's just a smoke screen. It's going to go for a yard, no gain, or maybe even a loss of yards. But if you can get Jameson Williams involved in the screen game, a creative screen game with wide receiver screens that aren't traditional, just snap the ball, turn, throw it to the guy out on the boundary. Maybe you send him in motion. Maybe you send him in motion and snap it and hit him with a quick screen where he's more so the depth, not the depth of a running back, but he's in between where a running back and a wide receiver would line up. Maybe you hit him with something like that. That's got the potential to be deadly. So if you've got Jameson Williams now in the screen game, I'm going to say that getting him involved in these type of ways, I want him to get, this is me, I want him to get 8 to 10 touches a game. Let's say you have 60 offensive plays. Amon-Ra gets 15 touches. Jamo gets 10 touches. So we're at what? 15 plus 10 plus 10. We're at 35. So then we've got the carries, 20 carries. Let's see, 20 carries and touches between Jahmyr and Monty. You gotta. I mean, the running game is not going to be 20 carries. I think the running game is going to be, from the running backs, you're probably going to get 30 touches per game. Let's let's say it's even touches. So let's say Jameer gets 10 carries, 2 passes. And let's say, that's a little bit too. Let's say he does, and let's say Monty gets somewhere around 13 touches as well, right? So that's 26 between them. Let's say we get 30 touches from the receiving core with just Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, and J-Mo. So let's say it's 30, 26, that's 56. And then you've got 4 more touches for DPJ or whatever. Okay. Now, that's just saying over 60 touches. We're saying that is 60. Imagine if we got 10 more plays. Imagine if we got 70 offensive plays. And then with the new, and this is just another way for J-Mo to be able to affect the game. With the new kick return rules, he has the ability saying 10 touches per game offensive. Whether it is 8 catches and 2 carries, whether it's 9 catches and 1 gadget play, whatever the case, every game. If you get him 10 touches every game, I believe that his total offensive output could be 1,300 yards. You spread out the touches evenly. 10 for Laporta, 10 for Amon-Ra, 10 for J-Mo. I don't think it's going to happen that way. Obviously, Amon-Ra is going to get more touches. Sam Laporta is probably going to get more touches. And it'll probably somewhere around 6 or 7 touches for J-Mo per game. I'm just saying. So then we talked about Laporta already. But J-Mo, breakout season, loading. Like I said, if you can get 10 touches for J-Mo, that's excellent. That's fantastic. I think the NFL, we understand that with these new kickoff rules, they are looking for scoring. But I think that they are shortening the field. If teams are starting on an average of the 30, okay, so they were starting average on the 25 last season because there were so many touchbacks that it was just like so many plays that weren't plays. There were so many non-play plays last season with the kickoffs. It was just a touchback. So now if you're bringing it out to the 30, the 35, but then obviously they're trying to mitigate. We just have to see how it goes, right? I think that there are teams, obviously, that if you have deadly kickoff returners back there, they're going to be incentivized to just go ahead and bring it out to was it the 35, the 30 or the 35? I think it was the 30, right? So they're just going to be they're going to be incentivized to go ahead and bring it out to the 30 because they don't want someone like, if you are an opposing team and you go back there and you see J-Mo on one side and Jahmyr Gibbs on the other side, what are you going to do? You're kicking it into the end zone. You're kicking it out of there. You're going to take that extra little penalty for yardage, and you're going to start the game because you're thinking like, man, with these two back there, and I don't think it's going to happen that they're just going to be back there on a regular basis. I think you're going to have other people like maybe Maurice Alexander, maybe Sione Vake will be involved in returning kicks. You never know, right? But there's going to be some sort of dangerous duo that they have back there because we do have the guys that can do it. So if they see that this dangerous duo is back there and this dangerous duo is averaging 30, 35 yards per return, it's going to be like, sometimes we're just going to kick it out of bounds. So you never know what the ramifications of these new kickoff rules are going to be. You never know how they are going to shape and mold the game. But like I said, the NFL is looking for faster play. They are looking for faster play and more offensive opportunities. Obviously, they want big plays. Everybody wants big plays. And if you're starting from the 40-yard line, teams may be more apt to take big shots down the field. If I'm starting from the 40-yard line and I am a couple of first downs away, and especially if we get a Jake Bates, right? Some people like to call him Master Bates. So I call him Bates Motel, right? Especially if you get a Jake Bates, you are like a first down away from because I personally believe inside of Ford Field, he could hit one from 70. The way that he's been booming those things from 60, and they've been good for like, they're not just creeping over the crossbar. They are going through that thing with authority, defiance, violence, okay, and distance, right? So I think he could hit one from 70. So if you've got somebody starting on the 40, you're pretty much going to be in field goal range already. Take shots deep on first down. Get J-Mo going deep. Have him run a go route on first down. Why not? So I think basically the field position game that they're trying to bolster from these new kickoff rules, I think you're going to see a lot of people do different things offensively. They're going to have different offensive strategies. I think deep threats are going to be more prevalently involved in offensive game plans. I think deep shots are going to be a bigger part of game plans. I mean, if you look at quarterbacks with big arms, you look at a Josh Allen, you look at a Lamar Jackson, you look at a Matthew Stafford, you look at an Aaron Rodgers, you look at Patrick Mahomes, you look at who else has a big arm? I think Will Levis has a big arm, right? So you look at people with big arms and you're like, well, if we're starting from the 35, 40, let's just try to get this thing in one shot. We've got a quarterback that can do it. I think, was it Joe Burrow has a pretty good arm? So you look at these quarterbacks that have good to great arms, and I think it's going to be a strategy that they go with. Why not? Why wouldn't you do it? So, like I said, we have J-Mo there, and he hopefully is going to break out. Like we said, it's an expectation now that he breaks out and that he becomes the number 2 wide receiver on this team. And I don't think that Dan Campbell was saying these things when he's talking about him at the owners' meetings, right? Or the league's meetings. I don't think he was talking about him in this way to go ahead and give him 3-4 touches a game. What's the difference between that and last year? When he was barely getting targets in the beginning, and then, he got up to maybe 5-6 targets a game. I think one game he had like 7 or 8 targets, and that was the most that he got for the entire season. Well, I expect 7-8 targets per game to be normal for J-Mo. Because if you're the number 2 wide receiver on the team, that means you are firmly worked into the game plan. you're not going to not be in the game plan. You're not going to be an afterthought. You are the number 2 wide receiver on the team, right? You're the number 2. Now, it doesn't mean you're always going to be the second read, right? The second read could be Sam Laporta, right? Because Sam Laporta is, essentially, if we go by targets, he's essentially the number 2 wide receiver on the team, right? But if you're the second number 2 wide receiver on the team, your targets in the game plan are going to go up. And then there's going to be a lot of plays, not all, there's going to be a lot of plays where you are the second option. You are the second read. So when we go, okay, I'm in Rod St. Brown, read number 1, covered, boom, J-Mo's got a step, hit him. So there's going to be opportunities, I believe, for J-Mo. And then there's going to be a lot of situations, I think, with his versatility and his ability to get separation, I think there's going to be a lot of situations where Jared Goff would normally force the ball into Amon-Ra St. Brown, where he's not going to have to do that because he's able to go ahead and hit J-Mo because he looks over to his right and J-Mo's got to step on his man. And the safety has come down to help cover Sam Laporta, and J-Mo is one-on-one, and that becomes a go route touchdown. I think that's going to be a situation that happens a lot. And then also what's going to happen with that is because that has the potential to happen, you're going to see a lot of times where that would happen, but that safety couldn't be sacrificed because he has to be over the top to help this man, especially if it's a slower corner, right? Like, Kamari Lassiter cannot be lined up against J-Mo because he runs a 4.6, right? So if Kamari Lassiter gets the unfortunate task of covering J-Mo himself, you better believe he's going to have safety help over the top. Because if I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm leaving J-Mo, I'm leaving Kamari Lassiter with his 4.6 speed on J-Mo with his 4.2 speed, man-to-man with no help over the top, I'm getting fired. Okay, if I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm doing that consistently, I'm getting fired. You can do that once or twice in a game, but it's just going to be like when Jeff Okudah was locking down Justin Jefferson, defensive coordinator wasn't trying to get fired for single-handedly losing the game, right? And I believe we lost that game anyway. So when that happens, J-Mo is going to be there. But because, like I said, I don't think it'll happen too often because of the consequences of leaving a J-Mo one-on-one with any corner, unless he can match his speed, which is very difficult for corners. You have like a Nate Wiggins, okay, and what's his name, Quinyon Mitchell, right? You have these guys who are fast, who will be able to go ahead and match up with J-Mo one-on-one and stay with him stride for stride down the field. But most teams don't have a corner that can do that. So because that can't happen, they're going to have to dedicate safety help a lot to J-Mo. Now, the middle of the field is wide open, right? So now when J-Mo is a consistent threat, because remember in the beginning of the year or the beginning of his year, he wasn't consistently in the starting lineup. Then around 5 games into his season, so around week 9-10, he was in the starting lineup. He was being announced with the starters. If you go back and watch, if you didn't notice this, when you watch the game on TV, it would talk about the Lions starting lineup, and he was being announced with the starters. So now the entire year is what we're hoping for him to be in the starting lineup. With series number 1, he's out there. Series number 2, 3, 4, you know what I mean? So he's going to be in the lineup. So he's going to create that mismatch consistently and constantly. Last season, that mismatch wasn't consistent. It wasn't something that defenses always had to worry about. Now, when you're trotting out a 2-receiver set, and those 2 receivers are Amon-Ra St. Brown and J-Mo, okay, you got to roll coverage to J-Mo. You got to do it. Because if you don't do it, it's going to make you pay. And they're going to have checks. They've got checks already in their offense. Like Cam says when it comes to easy. 52 is the mic. Check. Kill. I'm out here playing chess. Y'all playing checkers. All right? Barbecue chicken. Burnt toast. That's the check. Burnt toast. Barbecue chicken. All right, let's go. That means what? J-Mo's got one-on-one coverage. There's no safety help. They're in cover 1 across the board. They might be blitzing because generally when you come on a blitz, you're gonna run cover 1, right? Or even you don't want to run cover 0. Don't do that. Not with Jay. I don't think that any team is going to run cover 0 with J-Mo. On Lamar Jackson, and that makes sense because you go 0 blitz on Lamar Jackson because you're trying to limit his legs. And he didn't have a wide receiver. So if you're going 0 blitz, you're selling out to try to stop the run, to try to just get home on Jared Goff because Penei Sewell is dominating you on one side, and who's our and Decker, okay, Decker and Graham Glasgow are holding down the left. So you're like, man, we got to generate some pressure. Don't you 0 blitz. Don't you do it. Because if you do it, check. That's just going to be Jared Goff at the line. Just checking down, checking off. And you're like, okay, this is a touchdown. We're going to get 7. Because as soon as they bring this 0 blitz and J-Mo gets a step on this. So, I mean, again, the capabilities and the possibilities of a healthy, fully integrated J-Mo, scary for the rest of the NFL. Very, very scary for the rest of the NFL. It's what people think Xavier Worthy is going to be, because we already have that guy. Now, obviously, Xavier Worthy is probably a step or 2 faster than Jameson Williams. A step or 2. 1, J-Mo probably runs a 4.24, 4.25. What's going on, Sports Talk? Detroit Sports Talk. So that's what everyone thinks that J-Mo or that Xavier Worthy is going to be. And we already have someone who's not as fast, but he's a step or 2 slower than Xavier Worthy, and we've already got him now integrated into our offense. So I don't believe that from that aspect, another wide receiver is needed. And like we said, we talked about Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta, all time, receiving seasons of all time. He was second behind Mike Ditka. It was looking like he was on the path to breaking that record, but context, Mike Ditka did do it in a 12-game season. So that's insane what Mike Ditka was doing. It was insane. I don't think we will ever see another season, even if the record is broken. We will never see another season like Mike Ditka's when he had the averages that he had to be able to do that in a 12-game season. Think Broderick Martin is going to break out this year. Him learning next to DJ Reader will help big time. Yes, I believe that Broderick Martin will be molded I believe he'll be tutored. And let's not forget we have Terrell Williams, who's, by Dan Campbell's accounts, the best. So, as I was saying, Sam Laporta is he's a receiver. I mean he's a tight end, but he's a receiver. He's a receiving tight end who can block. You know what I mean? So, do the Lions need to add another wide receiver? I don't believe that they need to. I don't believe that they will. As I said earlier, Jared Goff needs to be comfortable with you as a receiver. Jared Goff needs to know you as a receiver. He needs to know your tendencies. It's just not going to work. Right now, they're getting ready to start OTAs. Then after OTAs, they'll have a short break. Then they'll go into training camp. If you're not there for OTAs, definitely if you're not there for training camp, obviously they're going to... Denzel Mims wasn't particularly good. He couldn't get on the field. And obviously there was parts of that being the whole relationship situation. I just don't believe that you can bring in a receiver and have him gel with Jared Goff in training camp. I just don't think it happens. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Detroit Sports Talk. Share the stream, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Let your friends know what is going on down in this kitchen. We are cooking up that Brad Holmes type stuff over here. Is this your first time coming through? There is a bit of a lag, so. But yeah, while I wait for your answer to that question, I'm not worried about Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph at all. Why are you worried about Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph? The only thing I'm worried about with Brian Branch is this injury that he has that nobody knows about. But of course, there's no need for the Detroit Lions to really divulge any information because it is not during the season and they don't have to report on player injuries. We do have the information. I'm glad you're enjoying it. We do have the information about Taylor Decker getting the surgery on his foot and the fact that he had a dead bone in his foot. I forget what they called something like about necro or something like that. Hip injury, hip surgery, training camp, he'll be ready. Yeah, Brian was on a scooter. That looks bad. I don't want to speculate on what it could be because there's only bad things in my mind about that because I've only seen that with bad situations. However, it may just be something where something is going to heal, like he's helping something heal faster. So I don't know. But like I said, if you look at, I think Coach Prime, he had one of those when he got his toe amputated. Obviously, I don't think Branch had his toe amputated. But there's another one. It starts with an A. I don't want to say it. I really don't want to talk about what that might be. But hopefully Branch will be fine to start the season. Hopefully he'll be ready for training camp. Again, nobody knew this had happened, when it happened or what. He just showed up to the draft on a scooter. So I don't really know. I really don't know. But what do you think, Detroit Sports Talk? What do you think about the receiver room? Maybe he got some stuff scoped in his ankle. that could have been some NFL players in the offseason. If it was just a cleanup surgery, he's more than likely going to be ready for training camp. Obviously our medical staff is one of the best medical staffs in the league right now. And they've advised him on what to do and how to take care of it and the timetable that he'll need. So I think we'll get him back for training camp. If we don't have him, if he's on that same scooter at training camp, then it's something serious. So we'll hope to not see that happen for training camp. Before training camp, during training camp, their drafting of Terrion Arnold has dashed my dreams of them signing Stephon Gilmore. But, hey, stranger things have happened. Obviously, you want Terrion Arnold to play as quickly as is good for his development, right? You don't want to throw him out there day one, but I think that competition that they're going to have in that room is going to be crazy. I think it's going to force the young guys to be in their playbooks and to develop as quickly as possible to try to understand exactly what they're doing and to transition, because cornerback is hard to play in college, and it's even harder to play in the NFL. So it takes cornerbacks a while, usually 2 to 3 years before you actually know what you have in them. Jameson Williams isn't going to break out this season. You said if he isn't going to break out this season, or you don't think he's going to break out this season? Or is going to break out this season? Let's see. I think we dropped him. So I apologize, guys. It looks like I am having a few latency issues today. When you're down under, man, sometimes you got to take what you can get. And sometimes it's not great. Terrion Arnold, he's not just a starter day one. He's one of those players that will bite a kneecap. And at 6'1", at 61, getting Ennis, I thought was a really good pick. Yeah, no, I like the picks. I'm not gonna disagree that they were good picks. I think that with Carlton Davis and Amik Robertson, you don't have to rush Terrion Arnold into the lineup. You don't have to rush Ennis Rakestraw into the lineup. I think that it's really good for their development. And plus, like I said, the competition that those guys are going to have is going to be something that's really going to help them out. So I think the mentorship aspect, I think just the all-around going up against the receivers that we have. Terrion Arnold himself even said it. Basically, iron sharpens iron. So you're going up against Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's one of the best receivers in the NFL right now, especially when we're talking about the route running aspect. And obviously, that's what the cornerback has to be able to improve upon, covering good route runners. Now, we did have the game in college where Terrion Arnold was sticking with Ladd McConkey, and Ladd McConkey is supposed to be like the best route runner in the history of the NFL, according to some people. So, having to go up against a route runner like Amon-Ra St. Brown and having to go up against a speedster, a burner like Jameson Williams, I think it's going to provide him with a lot of looks and a lot of developmental tools, because he's going to be doing those things. A route running extraordinaire and a burner. These are the receivers that you're going to have to go up against in the NFL on a game in, game out basis. So if you can get that down, the sky's the limit for those two young guys. Sorsdahl will break out, one of the best OL coaches, and that's not me being biased. That's just stats. I mean, with another year of Sorsdale having being in this system, I think he'll definitely improve. I don't know if breakout is the word. I think he will be solid, solid to very good. I could say, but that just depends on how quickly he gets the scheme. If JMO breaks out, he's pretty. Our Tyree, yeah. Now, I don't think he would be our Tyreek Hill because of the volume of catches that Amon-Ra St. Brown is going. And then you have Sam Laporta. You have a lot of mouths to feed. Tyreek Hill is still the main guy over in Miami. They've got Waddle. Now they've got OBJ. It remains to be seen, because if you look at the situation to be in Baltimore, you expected that he would probably be on the field like all the time. But there were games that I watched Baltimore and I'm like, where's OBJ at? Like, how many snaps did he get against the Lions? Like I said, if you're getting $15 million to be there for a year, I would think that you would be getting snaps like all the time. You would always be on the field. What are you looking for the year two boys, Branch, Ja, Laporta, and Campbell? All right, we're talking about the electrician Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm definitely looking for at least 1,000 yards rushing from him. I hope that he and Jared Goff have gotten on the same page, or will be getting on the same page come training camp and by the time the season starts, because I think there was a lot of untapped potential, and there was thoughts in the beginning of the season that he would be lining up in the slot. They would be deploying him in more ways than they actually did. We thought that there would be a lot of two back sets with him and David Montgomery, running the near set, some full house sets. You got Sam Laporta in the backfield with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, they have opportunities to do these things. We just didn't see them. So something like that, this is what I'm expecting. I'm also expecting Jahmyr Gibbs to become a more explosive, much faster, quicker Le'Veon Bell. If you look at his college tape, he had that element of the game where he was just very patient and letting his blocks set up. You saw a little bit of it towards the end of the season as the game slowed down for him. So now as the game continues to slow down for him, I think that's going to be a major thing. Jack Campbell, I believe, will have a much better season. He had almost 100 tackles last season. He's going to eat up double teams, so there's not going to be a lot of linemen that are going to get to the second level to be able to get to Jack Campbell and stop him in the run game. So I think in the run game, Jack Campbell is going to be really, really good. What I do believe is, obviously, he still has a ways to go in coverage. And learning from Alex Anzalone, because Alex Anzalone considers himself to be a coverage linebacker. So learning from him is going to allow Jack Campbell to blossom, and he'll be able to get tricks of the trade and tools of the trade and all these things as far as coverage. But I think the run game is going to be very good. He's going to be very stout. He's very good sideline to sideline. He can come straight down the field. He's a good tackler. He's a thumper. So I expect him to have a really good season. Brian Branch. Now, here's the thing. We have to see where Brian Branch is going to be. Brian Branch being particularly the safety, or is he going to still be the nickel because the young corners aren't ready? Amik Robertson will be on the outside. Carlton Davis obviously will be on the outside. Or will it be a situation where Amik Robertson is forced into the inside to the nickel situation because Terrion Arnold is the same as Brian Branch last year. Remember, we had CJ GJ, who was supposed to be the nickel, but Brian Branch was so good that they had to put him at nickel, and they had to put CJ GJ as the safety. So if we have another situation like that, where Amik Robertson is supposed to be an outside corner, but Terrion Arnold is so good year one that he has to move inside, then Brian Branch will be a full-time safety. Now, him back there with Kirby Joseph, that's going to be a deadly safety tandem. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. And then, like I said, I believe that we're going to have a lot of 3 safety looks. I think we're going to have a lot of times where Iffy, Branch, and Kirby are on the field at the same time. So I think this safety is not the safety, but the secondary is much improved. And I really believe that Brian Branch is going to have a big year. And Laporta, Laporta's Laporta. I think Laporta's going to continue doing Laporta things. Laporta's going to have probably, I believe, 1,000-yard receiving season. I think he has more touchdowns. And I feel like he's just going to continue to improve. I don't think there's not a lot that he can improve on. Obviously, he can be a better run blocker. So if he improves upon that, I mean, he can ascend into the Kelseys and the Kittles and guys like that. I think there were people that thought that he was already the 3rd best tight end in the NFL. So if he just improves on those things, and then, like I said, his numbers continue to increase in the passing game, I think he'll be right up there, challenging for the top tight end in the NFL. But that is all the time that I have for today, guys. I'm actually a little bit over. I appreciate everybody that came through in the chat. Jessifan, as always. David Barton, as always. We got Detroit Sports Talk, who's new here, first time here. Appreciate you. Hopefully that you come back. Hopefully you will subscribe. Hopefully you will share. Smash that like button. If you didn't smash the like button on your way in,